People who've watched this channel for a while will know that I am not a big fan of Keir Starmer. I've always said, since the beginning, since he started breaking all of the pledges that he put forward when he tried to be party leader, I've always been a critic. I've always said that it wasn't, well, this is what people need. People need to have their material conditions dealt with. They're not going to be helped by empty platitudes or not bothering to actually address things that people genuinely care about rather than just trying to become effective opposition and looking prime minister in waiting, briefcase Labour stuff. It's a phrase you've probably heard me use quite a lot of times. And I was from the start, people said, "Oh well, you just hate Keir Starmer because he's not Corbyn, he's not a socialist, he doesn't do explicitly what you want him to as part of his policy platform." And maybe part of that was true, but a lot of it was my understanding that this just isn't a way to get messages across the public. Not only do I think that it's not going to materially benefit the country to have Keir Starmer in charge, because he's not going to change course from the hegemonic neoliberalism that we have come to expect from every single governing political party of the last 40 years. But also, I don't think that his brand of, sensible adults are now in charge of neoliberalism, I don't think it's going to win any votes. I don't think people are going to like it because people aren't stupid. People aren't just going to want to see somebody wearing a tie and looking prime ministerial and standing in front of flags and being shown platitudes, unless they actually come up with something substantive that's going to make their life better. And so far, he's proposed less than nothing. They've proposed no legislation apart from the windfall tax that was so minute in scope that even the Conservatives were happy to be able to beat it in terms of scale. Right? That's the level to which the Labour have been essentially pathetic opposition to this point. At this point, going on and on about garbage like Partygate rather than properly. I don't know, for example, like the Rwanda plan. Keir Starmer out here saying, well, it's not thought through properly and costs a lot of money and there are better solutions. I'm like, how about you call it the fucking morally reprehensible plan that it is? Because it is morally reprehensible. And it's obvious to anyone who's got eyes and ears that Keir Starmer has so few scruples, he won't even bother calling things like repugnant racism out where it is, right? Getting completely engrossed in meaningless semantic arguments about whether a woman can have a penis or not. He's forgotten that, as a responsible leader of a party, you should be saying to people, well, we have an alternative vision because that's what our party stands for. Because at the moment, they stand for nothing other than not being the Tories and not being Boris Johnson. That's all he stands for. That's all. That's the only thing that he is bringing to the table at this point. There's nothing there. Literally, just please support me because I am not the Conservatives. And that was my thought all along. I always thought that that's not going to resonate with voters. People will go towards Keir Starmer, and then once Partygate fades away, suddenly the support will wane whilst people don't buy into him as a person, right? Wouldn't you know? I was right. I was right all along. People will judge you for being a Tory enabler for criticising Keir Starmer, and God knows Owen Jones has said plenty of those things. We will get to that in another video. By God, we will do, because people have a fucking people like shit libs or cockwomble Twitter, as I like to call them now, because they're compound swear words. It's essentially the only language they can communicate in, rather than substantive material policy making. Right? They have a fucking wild case of Owen Jones derangement syndrome, and I'm gonna fucking touch that in another video. That's something for for another time, right? But turns out I'm not a Tory enabler for wanting Keir Starmer to, have a policy platform or do something more than just be a man in a suit with a briefcase, right? Because there's a new poll that's just come out. By opinion, who would make the best Prime Minister? Boris Johnson, 28%, Keir Starmer, 26%. He's so unlikable. He's so immaterial as a political actor. Boris Johnson, the man who the majority of the population, when surveyed, think should resign. 40% of his own party, when surveyed, think he should resign. When there has been 3 years or 2.5 years, I guess, of huge amounts of deaths because of COVID, crony contracts, the Rwanda plan, Partygate, all of these different scandals, Green Cell Capital, all of these different scandals, all of these different awful, horrendous pieces of policy making and pieces of legislation that have been brought through, all of the like authoritarian police measures to crack down on protests. All of this has happened, right? And even after all of this, Keir Starmer is so ineffectual, he's so unlikable, he's such a fucking charisma vacuum with no vision, no policies, and no hope. Even he is polling less than Boris Johnson. It's a damning indictment of our politics that more people in this poll said nobody than either leader. Right? This is like Keir Starmer. Like I was my last video, or not my last video, the 2 videos ago, talking about how he, as the leader of the Labour Party, the party that's supposed to represent the working people, right, won't even get on the side of the RMC when they're organising a strike, which is fucking ridiculous. And quite frankly, when we look back at the content that I made and the ways in which that I had a discussion around the local elections, when people are saying, "Oh, well, Labour have lost the working class," well, look, there you go. People don't want fucking fusty managerial people in charge of the country anymore, and it's not winning people over. And it's clear when you won't support strikers and you won't even make substantive policy proposals other than just standing in front of flags looking like a prime minister, people don't want to fucking vote for you. People aren't interested in this. And once all the furore about Partygate and all that malarkey, once that's all gone out of the public conscious, what's he going to do? How is he going to ever win an election? Right? We saw in the local election results that where all of Labour support was gaining was in London, in posh, well-off areas of London, winning Conservative councils away in well-off London boroughs. They lost support. They lost council seats in the north, where we're supposed to be gaining back ground. Now he's engaging in all of this performative neoliberal guff that he's been told he should do in his part of his focus groups. That's all because he doesn't understand what life is like for fucking real people. What an embarrassment! What a complete and utter embarrassment, right? And after all this time, being told that I can't criticise him, otherwise I'm helping the Tories, I should get behind the dear leader to, for the good of the country and for good of the party, right? Despite the fact I'm not even a Labour member at this point anymore, right? They're now telling us, "Oh well, I'm not full of confidence." Labour frets over Starmer's response to Tory chaos, as if literally we haven't been criticising him from the left the entirety of the time at which he's been leader. And suddenly all the briefcase people are like, "Oh, maybe have we made a really bad decision? Did we not substantively provide any proper opposition to the Tories other than just standing there and pointing and laughing and saying that we're not them?" And they're suddenly they're getting that it's now we're okay to point this out, and clearly the media are grooming Wes Streeting as a potential future Labour leader. He's happy to continue to privatise the NHS, right? Apparently that's their yardstick for someone who they're actually going to portray in a positive light, in him spinning like pseudo left messages on Question Time. It's not like the new statements come out, articles about potential people who could take over Keir Starmer, because for years, for multiple years, right? Everyone to the left of on the left-hand side of the Labour Party, we knew he was failing. We could see it. We told everyone that he was failing. We continuously told people that he was failing, and people refused to believe us. They would chide us and scold us for wanting there to be a conversation about what impact a potential Labour government might have, rather than just being, "He's the red team, so we have to support the red team." These are the supposed adults in the room. These are the adults. We're calling us children for wanting to see a substantive policy platform or substantive vision from the leader of the biggest left-leaning party, or I guess nominally left-leaning party, it's not really left-leaning at the moment, in the country, to have some kind of left vision that could bring people on board. Whereas it's the supposed adults in the room who are just like, "No, it's the red team. You have to support the red. If you don't support the red team, then you're helping the blue team." Like politics literally is a game of football. It's the most fucking irreconcilably immature way of looking at politics that it just driven me around the bend. And quite frankly, I'm glad. I know I shouldn't be, because it's not good for electoral politics that someone could be as horrendous as Boris Johnson and the main opposition new party leader can't poll higher than them on who should be prime minister at this point. Now that's a bad thing. Like whether you feel like Keir Starmer as a Labour Party leader is taking the party in the correct direction is immaterial to the fact that, given the incredibly horrendous job that Boris Johnson's done, and how horrendously he's polling, and how everyone in this country think that he's a just complete dunderhead, as every poll will show you, people want him to go. And said, as I said previously, his own party don't want him there anymore. How would we have a functioning democracy when the leader of the opposition party can't poll higher than them? What I said, it's embarrassing. It's completely fucking embarrassing. I'm glad I'm not a Labour member anymore, because the time I named this, I'm glad I'm a part of an affiliated union, so I still get access to future leadership elections. But it's just, and that's why the members have left in droves, and the Labour Party's coffers are completely empty because no one likes him. No one likes him. He's a charisma vacuum. He has no policy platform. He has no vision. He has no future. He thinks that he can just go into focus groups and then use that information to be able to spread platitudes. People drift to him, drift to him naturally, in the same way that, in the wake of things like the back to basics scandals of the 90s, people drifted towards John Smith and then by proxy drifted towards Tony Blair as well. And they think that they still live in fucking 1997. Hence why they were courting fucking Blair the War Criminal to try and give them some kind of to give them like some kind of extra kind of grandiose messaging, despite the fact that everyone fucking hates Tony Blair, as every poll will also show you. People think that he's a war criminal because he is. He is a war criminal. So it is infuriating, but in some way, I do get this kind of deep sense of satisfaction that literally everyone to the left, on the left-hand side of the Labour Party, is going to be completely vindicated with all of their criticisms up to this point. Because no one fucking likes him. The poll, right? There's a poll that was released by Opinion recently as well. This was polling done after the no confidence vote, no less. That shows the gap is now down to 2 points. This is nearly 3% higher than what Corbyn got in voting at the 2019 general election. It was supposed to be this miserable landslide, worst result ever, end of the Labour Party, death of democracy, your failure to be able to provide anything, despite the fact there was a manifesto that was good, an electoral strategy for the right that was somehow became aligned because Nigel Farage got a little fucking brown envelope that told him to stand down in Tory-controlled seats, right? And after all of this, after everything that's gone on over the past 2.5 years of this Conservative government, suddenly, and even then, can't even manage more than 2 points ahead at this point, and this is after Boris Johnson's own 40% of his own party say that he shouldn't be in the role that he's in anymore. What more do you have to say about that? What more can you even say? There's even this good thread by this person called James Johnson, who I have no idea who he is. Used to run some kind of pollster or whatever. Talk about there was a focus group for people who voted Conservative in Wakefield, saying that they dislike Boris Johnson and everything that he stands for, but when they're actually asked who they would vote for instead, none of them said they were going to switch to Labour. Main reason, Keir Starmer, they decided was a weak, slippery slime ball, a people pleaser having no vision, and someone who proposes for opposition's sake, which is exactly what literally everyone on the left was saying all along. Verbatim. Literally, the words I've been saying this whole time: no vision, opposition for opposition's sake. The guy who lied, right? We spend so much time skewering Boris Johnson with his lies about whether or not he ate some cake during the pandemic. Yet, apparently, it's poor form for anybody to make reasonable critiques of the lies, the abject lies that Keir Starmer made when he tried to become Labour leader, and that he admitted that he's happy to continue to do to break his own promises, right? This guy is not as corrupt as Boris Johnson, but he's just as slimy. He's just as dishonest as Boris Johnson is at this point, quite frankly. So why would anybody get on his side electorally? And the evidence there, it's literally right in front of your face right now. The link between these voters and Labour remains resolutely cut. They feel that Labour has lost its identity, is out of touch with the working classes, and they have no plan or vision for the country. I rest my case. Labour is dead, and neoliberalism has killed it. So it's very, very simple, right? And there could be, the really sad part is it's not even that dead. If they had someone in charge who was, you could play, I guess, the role of the person to oppose Boris Johnson in the way that the fucking Liberals think that he should, whilst also having some kind of proper vision, as is stated in these tweets, or a proper policy platform to be able to present to the public, to oppose neoliberalism, to oppose the monetarist fiscal policy, to oppose everything that has been political discourse and the political kind of Goldilocks zone the past 40 years. Someone to come along and say, look, no, we can have a Keynesian economy. We can come around and say, look, well, we can use public spending on infrastructure to be able to create a more dynamic and functioning world or whatever, without even having to go way further than very, very mild social democratic reforms, and people would vote for them, right? It wouldn't be what I'd want. People would vote for it. Whereas at the moment, we've got nothing. It's not literally. Keir Starmer has proposed literally fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, Labour probably will win Wakefield, and Lib Dems will probably win Tiverton and Honiton, right? But is that going to translate into an election victory at the next election under Keir Starmer? I don't think so. Under the poll that we just saw, the Labour would fall 50 seats for majority, based on the model that particular person used. Other models, depending on gerrymandering, might even put Tories ahead on seats based on those kind of electoral numbers, due to the ways in which kind of redistricting is happening moving forward. So the fact that I probably kind of end on this point, really, that it is a damning indictment of the way in which the Labour Party has conducted itself over the past 2 years, that after all that has happened, they still can't get 20 points ahead. Literally, any other leader would be 20 points ahead right now. I'll leave you with that. So if you enjoyed this very, very off-the-cuff video, which I'm not going to edit, I'm just going to fucking upload it in full, because I can't be asked putting any more effort in this into what is essentially just like me ranting in my room. If you enjoyed this, please do consider liking the video, leaving a comment about how much you hate Keir Starmer, I guess. And please subscribing to the channel. If you click the bell, it'll notify you when I go live, and I release new videos as well. And also, if you go into the description, you can follow me on Twitch, where I will also be live too, which, depending on whether you prefer Twitch or YouTube. And I have a Patreon now. It's only £2 a month. No more, no less. If you can't afford £2 a month, do not give me money. And if you can afford £2 a month, go join a trade union first. Once you've done that, then come and give me money. That's your money's better off there than it is with me. So £2 is the maximum I'd ever accept per month on Patreon. If you'd like to donate that, that's fine. No harm, no foul. You can if you want. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. I'll see you on the next video.